Okay, we'll start with our real-time classes, and today we'll talk about what is the agenda. Okay, as a part of real-time, when we are working in any company real-time projects, it can be implementation or support, whatever. So, what are the areas of knowledge we should have? How projects can be executed? How support can be delivered to the customer? And what documents can be prepared? We'll discuss each and everything. What I'll do is whatever just I am planning to share the information, I'll list out everything here. Apart from that, if you have some expectations, okay, that also you can share with me. I'll add here. We'll be discussing the same. Okay, let's do in that way. Okay, fine. Let me give the title. Okay. See, when you say real-time classes, see if you, it's not very specific to finance or it's not very specific to SCM or project accounting. It's a common, but more will be referring and will be focusing on financial aspect. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Oracle release 12 financials real-time classes. So many concept will be finding as a common. Okay, it's not very specific to any applications, it's a common for any applications. That is the approach will be followed. Let me keep this. Fine. So what we'll do is first we'll discuss about different type of I will talk about implementation projects process. Implementation process. Before that, let me just keep some other points also. ERP consulting. We'll try to understand what is the meaning of ERP consulting, how the ERP consulting takes place. Okay, who can do the Oracle apps implementation or support. Okay, these points we'll be discussing. We'll talk about what is the ERP consulting, that to Oracle ERP consulting. We'll mention that. And we'll talk about different type of projects. Okay, type of projects. So here just I'll mention simple points. Let's say type of projects we'll be discussing about implementation projects. Here the complete process will be discussing how, if you are going to do the implementation for any company, what is the process involved, we'll be discussing very detailed level. So we'll be learning about how implementation projects can be carried out and how support projects, what would be the supporting process, how the process can be handled. Okay, implementation support. Again, within this we have some the sub classifications also that we'll discuss when we are actually getting into the actual discussions. So we'll talk about this, and apart from that, we'll talk about documentation part. So when I talk about documentation, so when you're doing the implementation, okay, we have different methodologies which will be following to do the implementation. Okay, when you are doing the implementation, especially when you are doing the implementation, Oracle recommends to follow certain methodologies. Okay, for better better sequence of activities which you do, and to have more control on the process for the implementation what we are doing, and to capture the detailed information of implementations, we'll follow certain methodologies. We'll discuss about those methodologies also. That is, one is AIM methodology. AIM stands for application implementation methodology. Other one is OUM methodology. OUM stands for Oracle Unified Methodology. Okay. Else here, let me add those types also so that it will be some idea for you before we start with that. So when we talk about project types, we'll try to understand the implementation, projects, process flow, how the implementations can be done, and we'll discuss detail level what the resource will be involving, what will be a role, and how the people will be communicating, where, how to start, how to execute, what are the various phases will be having as a part of implementation project, where we have to communicate with the, in which cases we have to interact with the client, and everything will be discussing. So out of this total real-time classes learning, this would be the very important concept. Okay, first we'll see just a very basic and which generally we come across as a part of projects. We'll see that one is implementation project, other one I can say upgrade projects, the other classification we can see rollout projects. You can find other term called as re-implementation also. We'll discuss everything detail level. Okay, the primary project type is implementation. If you understand implementation, these are just simple, those all will falls under within that, and there will be certain additional points also which we have to understand. Okay, so these are the different type of projects we'll be discussing. Again, we have within that, when we are discussing this, we'll be talking about what is a vanilla implementation, what is the in-house project, etc. We have some other points also to discuss. Those are, I'm not going to mention those points here now, we'll be discussing when we discuss about these. Okay, done. So documentation, this is what we'll be understanding, and we'll talk about customizations. Sorry, customizations. That can be, it can be any customization. It can be when you're working for the any client. Okay, client will have certain expectations as per their business process. Say client needs some feature, that feature is not available in our application. In that case, we have to provide that solution. See, client is asking for something that is not available in the application. That means simply we'll say the requirement is not meeting with the standard functionality. If any requirement is not meeting with the standard functionality, that means if the functionality is not available, how to give the solution to the client. Okay, so one of the option is customization. We have some other solutions also. If some requirement is not meeting with the standard functionality, we have some workaround, some re-engineering process, and personalizations. That everything we'll be discussing as a part of implementation. We'll come to know each and every point which will be part of entire complete end-to-end life cycle of implementation. End-to-end means complete, from scratch, from beginning to ending. Everything will be discussing here. Okay, so here generally we will be covering here in customizations. If at all you have to develop the new form, means we are going to develop, there is a business requirement where client require new form. Being a functional consultant, we have to involve in that process to write the functional specifications and all that. We'll be discussing very detailed level. In terms of customizations, here we'll talk about some form customizations. Generally other point will be working generally for some reports customizations. The detail level we will be discussing. I'll show you which document we have to prepare. Okay, for our understanding we'll prepare document also. Okay, we'll prepare one document for report. If there is any report requirement, say client is asking for so and so report, say that report is not available in our Oracle application from respective application. In that case, what we have to do, we have to develop the report. We have to develop the report. The report development will be done by technical people. For that we have to support to write the functional specification, what exact process involved, how to prepare the document. We'll discuss, and we'll do it will do it document preparation, then it will be easy when you are working for it. Okay, so this is what we'll be understanding. Then customizations, the process will be discussing, and the customization, when you're doing the customizations, what documents we have to prepare, we'll be discussing. Okay, so apart from that, so again within this implementation process we'll be discussing, but within the implementation process everything will be covered, since this is a very primary task which need to be delivered by functional consultant, where we have to involve, that I'm going to write as a separate task or separate concept, that is nothing but data conversions. Okay, we'll be learning about data conversions when you're working in real time, how data conversions can be done, and what should be, where we'll be involving, what activities we have to perform as a part of implementation. So apart from data conversions, so when we are working for implementation, say something support projects and all, if you have some issue, okay, which is related to some user specific issue, means, say when users are working on the system, they may not aware of the product, because of lacking of the knowledge with the product, they may commit with some mistakes, that will be getting an issue to us, that will be discussing very detailed level when you talk about supporting project complete life cycle, and what activities will be doing, and what exactly communication will be between the team and with Oracle, everything will discuss. But out of that I am taking one point here. So when we are interacting this, when you get some issue from the business users, we'll try to resolve it. If you are not able to resolve, only the option is we have to contact the Oracle. When you contact with the Oracle, there is certain process which need to be followed, where we have to raise SR. SR is nothing but service request. How to raise the SR and all that also will be discussing here. That I am taking a separate concept, so that we can focus on that more. Okay, we can talk about more for detailed information. So I will say SR creation. That means we'll be requesting Oracle to provide the support. SR, service request, we'll be requesting to provide the service to resolve certain issues. SR stands for service request. Okay, we'll understand how to raise the SR. So you may see these are very few points, but when once we get into that, these are many concepts are very big, where we have to understand many objects within that. Okay, that's how these things will work. So apart from this, we'll focus on period closing process. Okay, okay, and apart from that, you tell me whatever you have expectations. If whatever you are expecting, if those are not going to be part of whatever I listed here, I'll be adding and will be covering. Tell me if you are looking for something else.
Data migration and conversion.
Both are same. Data conversion or data migration, both are same. You can call as data migration also. Okay, done. Anything else you are expecting? You tell me what you are expecting apart from that, because you might be having friends who are working and all, you might have got some inputs, this is what you have to learn. Okay, those people can just tell me what are the other expectations you have, so that I'll be including in the sense, if that I am not going to cover as a part of whatever I listed here, that I'll be including. Otherwise we don't need to include here, that will be part of our discussions. Any other expectations? Sorry? Yeah, we'll be understanding about instances also, that definitely I'll be explaining. So I'll be adding that point as a type of instances. Okay, instance types, that I'll be taking here in implementation, each and everything. When you say end-to-end implementation process, everything should be covered. That anyway, that will be there, but anyway, just a separate point also I'm mentioning. Once we complete as a part of implementation project, that I'll be marking status as complete. Just let me keep here, since there is some expectation. Instance types, what are the different type of instances we'll be using in the real time, and what is the purpose of each and every instance. Okay, that will be discussing. Any other expectations? Sorry, the upload open balances is part of data conversions. When you say data conversions, it's all about loading the data. Generally we'll be loading the master data into transactional data. Master means suppliers, customers data we call as, or items, all this information we call as master data. And open transaction means unpaid invoices and payables, unpaid open transactions, receivables. This and all we'll be calling as open transactions. We'll discuss about it. What is the approach we have to follow and what templates we have to prepare, how to prepare the templates. I'll show you. I'll be showing the templates which are used for some projects as per business requirement. If you want to modify, how to modify it, how to get the data when we are loading the data into system. And before that we'll discuss about what is the complete life cycle of data conversion. The data conversion technical people will be involving. Major task will be done by technical only. They have to write lot of scripting to move the data from legacy to here. But definitely we should be there to make sure that all the setups are completed, all the data collected and properly from the client. Before collecting the data, which data need to be collected from the business to load into the system, that everything we should take care of. We have to prepare the templates. Frankly speaking, from scratch nobody will create the templates. What are the templates are used for other project, the same templates can be used for different project, but by changing as per the information which you are going to load for the current whatever the client you are working. That everything will be covered as a part of data conversion. Data conversion concept is all about loading the data. Okay, any other expectations?
Debugging, basic debugging.
Debugging, okay, that also will be covering. When you talk about support project, that we'll talk about which tools companies will be using to track all the issues, how user will be raising the issue, how it will come to the tool, who will be assigning the ticket to us, and what the terminology will be using, what are the statuses we have for tickets. I mean issues only will be calling as tickets. Once we get the ticket, what is the approach, what is the best practice, best approach we have to follow to debug it. Okay, so that also will be covering. Okay,
How to look at the data in the tables.
okay, fine. We'll talk about yeah, we'll be focusing on the reports also when we are working real time. Which reports, if you are going to implement financials for any client, from each application, from GL and AP and AR, what are the key reports we have to recommend to the client. We'll be recommending the solution and we'll be suggesting how the best they can use the system as per their business process. By understanding their business process, we'll be providing the solution. After solution, the very important thing is reports. Okay, we discussed in classes what are the top 10 reports or etc. Just I given the name only, we didn't discuss much about the reports that I'll be covering here. So from each application, which reports we have to recommend to the client. Say payables, when you are implementing the payables, as per general practice of payables system usage for any company, generally which reports really they require. Oracle is providing many, but every client may not go with the all. Oracle is giving the reports, many reports, okay, by considering the global business requirements, right? So but whatever it may be the business, what are the very basic, very generic reports they have to use, what is the purpose of reports also will be discussing. Okay, reports for financials. Okay, the standard reports what Oracle is providing, the major reports, and what is the purpose. So what information they can capture, they can generate from the reports, that will be discussing. That will be okay. Like, yeah, we'll talk about, yes, base tables and interfaces. So we'll query the data and we'll see the data also. We'll here we'll be learning very basic SQL statements. PL/SQL we don't require. SQL, overview. Okay, when we are working as a financial functional consultant in any company, we should have basic knowledge on writing SQL queries, SQL statements. So what level of basic knowledge we require will be covering. Hardly we may spend for 30 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes time. I'll show you what are the basic statements we should aware of, from where you can see the some table data or view data, and how to write the basic syntaxes, means statements to fetch the data, in which scenario we have to write this kind of SQL queries to fetch the data. That also will be discussing here. Fine. And again, So when you are working in real time, again here that will be part of this only. When you talk about support project, I'll be covering. But when you just interact with Oracle and all, Oracle will be asking us to provide some script. They'll be asking, say, AP checklist, AP list. They'll be asking that also will be covering. That is nothing but we have a application diagnostics, right? The application we have that also will be covering. That anyway I'll be taking as a part of support project. I'm not going to write that as separate. So when we talk about separate support project, I list out the sequence of activities where we'll be involving, how the process works, which tools they'll be using, and in that process, when we are going to analyze, how we'll be analyzing. If you are going to interact with Oracle, Oracle can ask which information, okay, how to attend that OWC sessions, etc. That everything will be discussing. So within inside of implementation and within inside of support project, there are many things which you will be learning. Okay, you may not see directly from here. The upgrade project process also will be understanding. This will do that. Apart from that, any other expectations, please? And apart from all this, once we are okay with this, we done with the course and now we are learning this, then the challenge for you is we have to face the HR, right? So what to speak with HR and what not to speak with HR, that also will be discussing. Okay, how to face the HR calls. Okay, how you have to showcase yourself. Okay, how you should not showcase yourself. There are many things. For this minimum I'll be taking minimum to minimum maybe 1 hour session. This is very important. Based on this only rest of show will run, you know that, right? Fine. Of course we all are going to try as a fresher. Okay, we all are going to try as a freshers. So even you are going to try as a freshers, what level of knowledge you require, okay, so that we are going to learn from these classes. Okay, fine, done. So how to speak with HR and all will be discussing respective to all the doubts we have. I'll be asking what are your doubts when I'm going to held that session. Okay, in that session I'll be asking, first I'll list out, okay, what are the points you have to remember when you are speaking with HR, and by the time some people might have some experience, so that their queries also I'll be taking, will get a big list to understand. Then we can proceed with that. Minimum to minimum we'll have 1 hour session, that depending on what are the points we'll be having to understand, it may be extended to 2 hours or more than also, that we'll see anyway. This is the what. And what else, any other expectations? So because within this implementation and support project we have many things to discuss. That's the reason we are not listing out each and everything detail. See, when you are going to work as an implementation consultant, if you are going to work as a financial consultant, if you are going to involve in implementation, what you should understand and in which activities or in which phases of implementation you have to involve, everything will be understanding. When I talk about implementation, will be understanding how the kickoff meeting will start, how to take the requirement, how to prepare the requirement documents. Just I'll brief high level, I'll talk about high level. So out of all these, what we are going to learn, what we have insight but not detail level, high level I'll talk about it here. When I talk about your Oracle ERP consulting, we'll talk about which companies can do the Oracle implementations. If some company wants to do the ERP implementation, the company has to get they have to get the partnership with Oracle. What partnership and all will be discussing. And now in the market you can see, one side Oracle company will be doing the implementation, other side some consulting companies also will be doing. And again we'll try to understand about Oracle also, what Oracle exactly, what are the different divisions we have in Oracle, because when you are going to work as Oracle consultant, it's a very basic information we should know. It's not like all the time Oracle means we'll find as a, they'll just give the, they'll sell the product. Not only they'll be selling the product, there are many divisions they have. Oracle University they have, where they'll be providing education, and there are ERP consulting where they'll be providing consulting services. We have Oracle Global Support and software and services. We have separate division, etc., etc. We are on demand division we have. These and all we'll be discussing. First we'll try to understand more about Oracle. Say Oracle Corporation. Oracle means not what, not, we are not going to understand what exactly Oracle and all. We'll talk about Oracle company and what are the different divisions they have. What is the job of each and every division. If you understand that, then tomorrow when you are working in any company, easily you can understand. Okay, you have to deal with the which division and all. For that information will be covering about Oracle Corporation, will be understanding since we are learning relevant product. Then we'll talk about Oracle ERP consulting. What is the meaning of ERP consulting? How the projects will take place and all. Okay, when you talk about these type of projects, it can be implementation, upgrade, rollout, re-implementation, or support project. These projects can be handled by, these all projects can be done by Oracle can do, or else Oracle consulting companies also can do, like IBM, Wipro and all. The relations also will be understanding. If not these Oracle or Oracle consulting companies, these projects can be done by client itself, which we call as in-house projects. Okay, that also we'll discuss detail level. Those are the separate concepts to understand. We'll discuss detail level. So okay, fine. This is what we'll be understanding, or from Oracle side, what is the consulting and all we'll be understanding. When we talk about implementation project, we'll try to understand the complete end-to-end implementation project. When we talk about end-to-end, here we'll be learning. So if you are going to do the implementation for any client, where to start? First, we'll start with some kick-off meeting, and then we'll take the requirement. After taking the requirement information will be creating one document. Then we'll focus on to be process. For that, we'll prepare the document for this as is or to be. This documents we have to get the sign off approval from the client. That detail level will be discussing. Once we're done with that, what are the requirement client has and what are the application we have, where we have some gaps, that will be understood. When once you get the gap, what are the different options are available to provide the solution. Those are nothing but customizations or form personalizations, workaround, in typical scenarios, re-engineering also, that also will be discussing. So once we're done with that, we'll be doing the system configuration, we'll be testing, and we'll be conducting the CRPs, UATs, and we'll be preparing the various documents. And for whatever the customizations we identified, we have to create the function specs. Okay, again for all these documents we'll be preparing. For all these documents, as per AIM and OUM, we have a different naming conventions, that also will be understanding. Okay, so once we're done with that, we'll be giving the training, and we'll talk about data conversion, when we'll be doing the data conversion. And before that, before we start with the implementation project, we'll try to understand, there will be team from consulting company, there will be one team from client. What are the roles they'll be having? What is the role of each and every consultant? When you talk about implementation, primarily we'll be having the roles like functional consultants. Definitely we'll fall into functional consultants only, especially financials, right? Will be part of functional consultants, will be working as a financial functional consultant. And we'll be having the technical consultants, and we'll be having the DBAs. In some cases you can see techno functional. What is the meaning of these terms, and what is the role of functional consultant in any implementation project? What is the role of technical consultant? What is the role of DBA in the project? And what is the role of techno functional consultant in the project? And what is the role of project manager within the project? Okay, this and all we'll be discussing with respect to each and every type of project. We'll understand, first of all we'll identify which roles are involved in the project. And when you are working for upgrade project, what would be your role, what would be technical people role. And when you are working for rollout project, what will be your roles and responsibilities. And when we are working for re-implementation, what exactly meaning of re-implementation, we'll be understanding each and everything, what is the meaning of that, in which scenario that project will come into the picture, and what would be the process for each and every type of projects, and what would be your role and what would be other people roles. So that tomorrow once you get into any type of project, you don't need to search for what you are going to do, you know everything. If somebody is going to say tomorrow we are going to conduct a CRP, means yes, you know what is a CRP. Before CRP, what it needs to be done or what already done, and next to CRP what we have to do, everything, the in and out process will be knowing. So it will be very easy for you to just survive in the environment wherever you are going to get it. Okay, so again we'll talk about supporting project detail level. And when I talk about AIM or OEM, these are the different approaches, what methodologies what Oracle recommends. Because this AIM methodology or OEM methodology can be used for any application implementation, but basically these two methodologies are implemented by, developed by Oracle, especially for Oracle apps implementation. But these methodologies can be used for any application implementation, not only for Oracle applications. If you are going to implement PeopleSoft, you can use. If you are going to implement JD Edwards, you can use. If you are going to implement a Cbel, you can use. If you are going to implement some SAP, you can use it for any any application implementation, you can use this methodology. What is the advantage? In each methodology we have a different phases, or say different milestones, you can understand in that way. When I talk about A methodology, we have a 6 phases. When I talk about OEM methodology, we have 5 phases. Okay, the entire implementation project, whatever the activities we are doing, those all the activities are classified into different phases or different milestones or stages. So in each phase, whatever activities we are doing as a part of implementation project, that will falls into specific phase. So which activity will fall into which phase will be understanding, and again in each phase which documents we have to prepare when we are working in the implementation project, that also will be discussing. The same way this also will be discussing, because this is a somewhat outdated, but still many companies are using. Frankly speaking, this is the latest methodology which Oracle recommending and many companies are using. Okay, so but nothing wrong if you have experience on just AIM methodology also, that would be fine. It's all about, if you know AIM methodology, you know in and out how to what is the process is involved in terms of implementation with respect to AIM methodology. Okay, and what documents will be creating. If you know AIM methodology, you'll be able to work on OEM. Anyway, we'll be discussing this both methodologies here. Okay, and here when you talk about some custom reports, when you talk about customizations, it can be form customizations, maybe requirement from the client, we have to develop the new form. In that case, what would be our role? What we have to do is, we'll discuss detail level, but high level I'm just running with few points. We'll be taking the requirement from the client. After taking the requirement detail level will be writing in the document, which we call as function spec, or else function specification document. Function specifications generally we short we call as function spec. As per AIM methodology, we have separate name. As per OEM methodology, we have separate name. Just for say, as per AIM, we call as MD50 document. It can be you may customize, you may develop new form or new report, whatever it may be. We have to write the function spec. How to write that, we'll see. We'll do it also. We'll write the function spec by taking some requirement which is not available in our Oracle application. Tomorrow, when you are working any project, if there is requirement to write, simply you can write it. So that's how we'll be doing. So we'll be learning those points also. We'll be preparing those documents. And when I talk about data conversions here, which data we have to convert? Data conversion is very simple. So before client get into this Oracle application, so now we are talking about Oracle R12, means simply we call as Oracle EBS, e-business suite or e-business suite. Okay, so when client is going to when we are implementing Oracle EBS for any client, okay, before that definitely they should be running their business related information. They have to maintain that business related information in some other system, right? They'll be using some other system. So take simple example, some say Tally or Focus or Wings or small accounting packages we have. So client is running the business on that applications. Now client is moving to Oracle EBS. So when they are moving, all the data will be in the previous system. Generally the previous systems we call as legacy systems. So now the target is, when they are moving the complete business process into this application EBS, means from now to maintain their day-to-day business transaction, complete organization information into this EBS system, which is ERP product. Okay, so what they have to do, whatever the data they have in their previous system, means legacy system, all the data we have to move from that system to the new system of Oracle EBS. They have to move. For that we have certain process. In this process, okay, the client people will be involving, and technical people will be involving, and as a functional consultant will be involving. And again there we have to take decision which data we have to move, which data we don't need to move. Such kind of discussions we have to involve. There is certain data which is very generic data in every implementation will be moving. There will be some additional data if really client is wanting us to move the data from that system to legacy to our EBS, then that data also we have to move. Accordingly we have to prepare the templates and all. The detailed data migration or data conversion end-to-end process will be discussing, so that when you involve in that, it will be easy for you to work on it. Okay, and here SR means service request. We'll try to understand the process, how to raise the SR to Oracle. Okay, how to just get some support. You will be working, say you got some issue from the user. When you get some issue from the user, you'll just verify with the setups, you'll verify with any user related mistakes are done, you will verify. You identified everything is fine, you identified everything is fine, but still the issue is I mean, you are not able to resolve. See, you got some issue, but nothing wrong with that relevant functionality. In that case, if everything is fine with the application, still there is some issue, only you have to understand something wrong with the application only. Not something wrong with the consultant, or not wrong with the user. Something wrong with the consultant means, of course, that you cannot identify if you are wrong. Means if you are lacking with the product knowledge, definitely it's wrong with the consultant only. If user is lacking with the knowledge, that you can identify since you are okay with the knowledge. So user may do some mistake, because of that issue may come. If consultant is not able to identify the issue where it went wrong, then that also issue only. That anyway, in that case, we have to resolve it. But there is nothing wrong from user side, and consultant also has a good product knowledge and all. Okay, in that case, only the approach is we have to contact the Oracle, saying that this is the situation user is facing, and we verified everything is fine, how it should be. Those we set in proper way, but still we are doing something, system is not supporting, our system is showing some error message, system is not responding. Okay, this kind of cases will come across. For that kind of cases can be fixed by that kind of issues can be fixed by Oracle. Generally system will behaving in a abnormal way. In that case, we'll contact the Oracle, so that they'll look into the system, they'll identify is there any something wrong with the system with the programming. So you are creating invoice. When you are creating invoice, after you provided all the information, but you are not able to save it, or else you are not able to validate it. Okay, validation. For validation and the payable options, we have control. If you enable, then only you can validate. Of course, you know that since you are working as a consultant. Okay, you did that, still it's not accepting to validate, or else it's not allowing to do the accounting. When you are not able to do accounting, there are some other points also to verify that we'll be discussing at the time of support process. So you did everything verified, but still system is not allowing to complete the invoice creation process. In that case, only you have to suspect about the application functionality, something went wrong in terms of programming, which is done by Oracle, which we call as source code. Something wrong with the source code. We cannot touch the source code and all. That can be anything, any corrections or anything that can be done by Oracle only. In that case, we'll be contacting the Oracle. They'll be asking us to provide some screenshots applicable if you are getting some error message, or they'll be asking us to, they'll be providing some script. They'll be asking us to run that script. The result, whatever we get, okay, that will be submitting to Oracle. That you can done directly by running some front-end tools, and there are some cases where you have to run from application diagnostics application. That also we'll see in our classes. Okay, you have to run, you have to submit, then they will test all the diagnostics of our application behavior. Then they'll identify anything wrong from our application side or anything wrong from source application. And if some piece of code is missing, they'll be recommending us to apply the patch. Patch is nothing but piece of code which they'll be giving. Once that is applied, okay, the application will be working properly. Whether we have to apply the patch directly in the production or which environment, what is the sequence we have to follow, everything we'll be discussing. Okay, so that's all about this here to support. So a complete information we have to provide to Oracle. When you're raising SR and all, we have to specify what is your issue and what is the detailed information of that issue. And again, everyone cannot go and raise SR to Oracle. Who taken the license from Oracle, those only can raise SR. Okay, and when you're raising SR, you have to specify your customer identification. Then they'll be asking many questions, several questions. You have to answer all those, and then you have to submit this SR to global support, Oracle global support. From Oracle side, generally we'll be finding for payables there will be separate team. Oracle payables there will be separate team. Oracle receivables there will be separate team. Oracle fixed assets separate team. Oracle general ledger. In the same way, for each and every application there will be separate teams who are experts. Okay, you might be knowing some experts. Okay, so some experts will be there, so they'll be helping to our issues. Okay, when we are not able to resolve, or as a consultant who has very basic or very expert level of experience, maybe 10, 15, 20 years of experience also, if something wrong with the product, no one can resolve it. That has to go to our experts only, who will be working in Oracle global support. They'll be resolving how to communicate, and all those points we'll be discussing. Okay, we'll be discussing the detailed process. Then we'll look into the period closing process. This is when we are into support project, basically we have to involve into period closing process. Okay, not only in support, generally what happens is when you are doing the implementation, when you're doing the implementation, as per contract we'll be having with the clients or say customers, okay, saying that okay, the implementation takes place 1 year. That also will be discussing. Implementation takes place how many months or years, based on what parameters, that points also will be discussing when you talk about our implementation project process. Okay, that will be discussing detail level. But when you talk about the simple process, okay, when you are doing the implementation, our company will have some agreement with our client saying that, so we'll do the implementation in certain period. After doing the implementation, we will help you the first 2 or 3 months. If you are not going to be available in that for that client for 2 to 3 months, so see, client is asking something and we'll be doing and we'll be showing the proof also. Once you're done with everything, will implementation will be completed. So once we quit from the project, if the results are not coming as per their expectation, who is responsible? Who implemented, they should be responsible, right? So that is the reason what happens is normal implementations, there will be mutual agreement. A consulting company and a client will have a some agreement saying that okay, implementation for 10 months or 1 year. After implementation, you should support for 2 months or 3 months. That we call as post implementation support. We call as post implementation, means after implementation what are the support we are doing, that implementation we call as post implementation support. Detail level we will discuss anyway, but just simple point I'm telling. So so post implementation, generally some companies will be giving for 2 months or 3 months. Why we have to give? Because we have to be there till system will be stabilized in the sense it's running properly. We implemented and we leave from the project. Once they start working, if it is not working proper way, whom they have to contact? Okay, so that is the reason whatever the implementation we did, we have to show them the results also, whether the system is working properly or not. For that, normal after doing the implementation also, if you work for any implementation project also, the general expectation from the project is you'll be in the project for 2 more months or 3 more months, where at least 1 or 2 periods will be closing. Okay, so closing periods means it's a kind of in every month end we have to do it. Okay, the clients will be scheduling when we have to take initiative. There is separate process to close it. If you want to close the payables period, it's not like that you'll go and change the status to closed. And you say closed, it will say, system says stop. Okay, it will respond saying that boss, I don't allow you to close, because there are certain activities which need to be done before closing the period. Then only system will allow us to close the period. It can be payables or receivables or general ledger or any other application. There is certain process which need to be followed as period closing process. Okay, so that period closing process will be discussing. Once we're done with the period closing, okay, we have to do the reconciliation also. Say we have data in payables, and we do the period closing, and we'll close the payables period, and total data will be sending to GL. Once we're done with the period closing, done. After that, you should verify the balances as per payables. How much accounts payables balances we have as per GL also. The same data we are sending means the same should be here, right? Here we have to make sure that the subledgers and GL are getting reconciled properly. If you say as per accounts payables means liability account is showing 10 lakhs dollars. But when you come to GL also, it should show same, because the same information we transferred. Sometimes there will be mismatch. What are the various reasons why the mismatch will come? In that case, how we have to act, finally how to fix it, that everything will be discussing, which we call as GL and subledgers reconciliation. Okay, GL and subledgers reconciliation. Okay, basically when we are into projects, support projects, so the primarily will be working on issues, will be working for every month end period closing, and then next task is GL and subledgers reconciliation only will be our primary roles and responsibilities. But there are many other things which you have to understand when you are working in support project, that also will be discussing the terminology and process. And instance types, yes, we'll be discussing when we are doing the implementation, what generally instance types will be using, and when we are doing the support, what are the different instance types we'll be using, what is the purpose, what is generic practice, what is the some company specific practices also will be discussing. In some companies we may see, say for example, 3 instances. In some companies we may see more than 3 also. Okay, what is a very general normal practice, and what is a something client specific practice when they are going to use the instances, what purposes, with which instance what we can do, in which instance what we should not do. Okay, everything will be discussing. And this already we discussed the point. Reports for GL, APR, CM and FA, from which application, which reports we can suggest to the client. Earlier in our normal learning case, we given the point, these are the top 10 reports from payables, these are the top 10 reports from receivables. This is a report list I given. We requested, please run the reports and see the output so that you can understand what is the purpose of the report. And by seeing the report name also you can understand we requested. I think nobody did that, right? No problem. And here again we'll be discussing detail level. So it's not like top 10 reports, what are the general reports will be recommending for what purpose, that we'll discuss very detail level. And tables and all. So here base tables for when we are doing the very core transactions in respect to application. Take simple example, payables. In payables, what are the core transactions we'll be doing? Invoices and payments. And invoice and payments. When you record the invoice, where the invoice information will be stored, which table we'll discuss, and we'll query the table and we'll see the data. And if you want to filter the data, based on some criteria, say you have you are recording the invoice in the multiple currencies, and you want to fetch the information only related to your foreign currency related invoices, or you want to find out only foreign currency payments, or else you want to find the invoices where you just made the payment where the invoice amount is more than 1 lakh. Different criteria, different conditional base. If you want to fetch the data from database, yes, you can do that. With some conditional base you can fetch the data from database. How to do that we'll see. And from front end you can do that, but limited. You can go to invoice find window, right? We have find invoices window. You can go there, but there you can see very limited fields, right? But if you want to see the data, you got some issue from the client user saying that this is what. Now you have to verify. So to verify that as per the issue related scenario, the screen may not be available. The find screen may not support. Your requirement is something, but the screen whatever Oracle is providing, that is fixed, very generic and very standard. But as per your requirement, by going through that form and all, you cannot query and you cannot see the relevant data. In that case, there may be need of writing separate SQL statement to filter and to analyze and to see the data. In that case, you have to write. Then we'll see how to write the SQL statements. First of all, we'll discuss what are the base tables for GL, APR, CM and FA, the key tables we'll discuss, and what is the purpose of each and every table also, in which table which data will be stored we'll discuss. Then we'll try to understand basic, we'll try to get some basic knowledge from SQL, what are the basic statements or commands or syntax we have to use to fetch the data from database and to analyze, that will be understanding. Then which table, which data will be stored we'll discuss. Then we'll write some SQL statements and we'll see the data which is lying in the base tables. Then we'll discuss about interfaces. I think already we discussed about interfaces, right? Anyway, once again we'll see that. And if you have data in interfaces, how to query and how to see, that also we'll be discussing. Apart from this, so what happens is integrations, third party integrations. So when you are working in real-time projects, what happens is, we should not expect, if client is going to implement our Oracle product, they may not go with the solution for all their business operations from Oracle only. They may use Oracle Financials and Oracle SCM from Oracle, and HRMS they may use from other third party, maybe PeopleSoft. Now PeopleSoft also Oracle product only. Okay, they may use some different other applications as their business process solution. But now when we are implementing this Oracle Financials and purchasing, so there will be, see, now when you talk about payables, as per business process, purchasing should communicate with the payables, right? For what purpose? To share this purchasing related information. That can be PO related information or receipt related information or some other information. So when you are creating invoice in the payables, okay, we have to match, right? How you are able to match? Because these two products from Oracle, between these two products there is some interface. There is some interface, means connectivity. Since there is some interface, means inbuilt interface we can say, which comes along with the product, that we call as inbuilt. If two modules or two applications are talking each other, that is possible with only concept called as interface. There is some interface. Since these two products from Oracle will take care of the interface. Oracle will be building when they are delivering the product. That we call as inbuilt integration. Now say simple example, client is using some XYZ application, or say client is using some third party expense related tool. So in payables we can create expense report. If not payables, we have separate application called as iExpense. If client will, if that for that also client has to take the separate license. If client instead of using the payables expense report, if client wants to use iExpense application, they'll take the license. That iExpense application has it has a inbuilt integration with the payables. That means instead of creating the expense reports, you can go and create the expense reports online. That is a web application. You can create it and you can implement your approvals. Once that is approved, that expense report information you can import into payables as a expense report invoice. What we have seen is creating the expense report within the payables, converting expense report into expense report invoice. That is one case. Other case, if client is going to use iExpense application, in that case what they do, there they'll be creating that, they'll be importing into payables from iExpense to payables. But if client is not going to use, the client is not going to use our accounts payables related expense functionality, and other side client is not going to take license for iExpense, client is happy with some tool which they are using currently from other third party vendor for expense management. In that case, when we are implementing this financial application for a client, definitely the from the tool we have to interface the data to accounts payables, right? You have to interface the data to accounts payables. In that case, what needs to be done is, so there will be need of developing the interface. We have to develop the interface, generally that we call as sub interface. Of course, we are not going to develop, the development will be done by technical people, but we'll be playing the key role over there to understand the mapping and what data we have to bring into the system. That complete process also will be understanding, so that we call as third party integrations. We may want to get some third party application data to our payables or receivables or general ledger, whatever it may be, the approach and process will be same. That will be discussed in detail level. If any third party application we are going to integrate with our Oracle application, what process need to be followed, as being a functional consultant, what should be our responsibility, that will be discussed in detail level. This already we discussed, and this already we discussed, and there are many other here. See, we listed few points here since these are very major, and apart from that there are many points which you can see within this implementation or support or here or there, and again when we are discussing some other points also I'll be adding, will be doing. But for now, if you have some other expectations apart from that, let me know. I'll be adding and I will be just discussing all those and will be doing wherever applicable. And otherwise in between also you can add, no issues. It's not mandatory. Now only we have to add, we'll add and we'll freeze and we'll start. That approach we are not following. We are not going to freeze it. It will be open. We'll be freezing after completing the classes. Okay. So let's follow that approach. Okay. So you may speak to your friends. You may come up with the new requirements. I'm open to add here. Okay, we'll add and we'll discuss those points. Okay, done. Okay, that's all about this. So if you have some other expectations, you can add now. You can tell me. Otherwise, tomorrow you can add, or something day after tomorrow. Anytime you can add here. We'll proceed accordingly. Okay. So let's take this as a agenda for our real-time learning. Okay, real-time learning. And if anything else is there, we'll be adding. Okay. It may require good amount of time to discuss also. Anyway, we'll be spending how much, I cannot tell you these many hours. I'm not fixing. Let's let time take how many hours it required for these discussions. Let's go with that approach. Okay, fine. Okay, from tomorrow we can start with that. First, initially we'll understand what is Oracle, because this product is from Oracle. Let's try to understand what exactly Oracle, which divisions we have. When we are working, we have to interact with which divisions. When we are working in some company, we no need to interact with which divisions. What is the functionality of each and every division, we will understand. So tomorrow if somebody is going to tell you I am working in Oracle Corporation, you no need to misunderstand. You can have some proper question. Oh, you are working in which division? If they say some division name, then you can understand, oh, he is working for this. Otherwise, somebody is going to say I'm working in Oracle. Always don't expect he's working as a consultant only. He's working for implementation only. He's working for something else. Depending on division, so then you can ask which Oracle in which division. Then you know what job he's doing also. So that level of knowledge you'll be getting after discussing about Oracle, what divisions they have. Then consulting, how this Oracle and other companies will have some relation, what base it works, etc. That will be discussing. and certain things, and how some bidding will happen. Say there is one client called as ABC. Okay, how the sales, we'll talk about how sales takes place, how these companies will get the project from any company, any client. Before getting the project, what process they will follow, how the bidding will happen, how some terms and conditions when they win the project. And we'll talk about implementation life cycle, project life cycle also. Okay, project life cycle is different, implementation life cycle is different. When you talk about project, it's the overall project in terms of company, but when you talk about implementation, it's the execution process only. That also I'll be including, we'll discuss. The project life cycle is different, the implementation project life cycle is different. Implementation always talks about execution of the project. Okay, project life cycles talks about organization specific project life cycle, the starting, ending, and between. See, the when you talk about project execution, project implement, project life cycle, there will be starting point, there will be planning point, there will be execution point, there will be controlling and monitoring point, there will be end point. Out of this entire project life cycle, as a functional consultant will be involving in the third stage. What is third stage? Execution. So we never involve in starting, but there will be few points which will touch with the starting also. I'll discuss detail level, but the core area where you will be involving, we never involve in the starting, we never involve in the planning also. Being a functional consultant, will involve directly in the execution. For execution we'll have a startup, not for entire project startup, we never involve. And the monitoring and controlling will be done by project manager, or somebody will be monitoring and controlling project related process or some rest. Okay, and ending means once we're done with that, ending means here the project delivery will be completing our job. That is ending for us, that is not ending for the company. For us that is ending for project, but for company there will be separate ending. These points also will be discussing. Okay, so we'll talk about the company point of view, what is the project life cycle. In terms of implementation, what is the life cycle, but more will be focusing on our execution related starting point, ending point, in between, what are the various phases, various activities will be doing, who are involved, will be involving, and rest of things, how, what kind of good relation we have to maintain with our team members with respect to our work and job and role which will be playing in the project. Okay, everything will be discussing. Okay, so these are the points we have to understand. Anyway, this I'll be covering, already we completed the course. Now this is what we are going to take as a part of real-time classes, and only you should be ready with your product knowledge, whatever you learned and these things. Apart from this, okay, always I recommend, anyway I'll be covering the basic stuff of SQL, but if you have time, better you can learn SQL. If you have minimum time, you can go and learn from some institute. Okay, simple approach I'm telling. If somebody is charging big amount for SQL, don't join over there. Who are charging very less, join in that institute only. Reason, that level of knowledge is enough for us. That level of knowledge is enough, basic knowledge, because generally who are charging less, they may cover basics only, right? That is enough for us. But if you think, oh, by this time I'm okay with the financials, anyway understanding real-time classes I'll be attending, I'll be understanding, I have plenty of time in my hand or pocket. In that case, you can go and learn SQL and PL/SQL also. Okay, if you have good knowledge on SQL and PL/SQL, very good knowledge, good command, that really will help you. When you are working in real time, what happens is, if you have some issue and all, if some technical issue, you have to go and approach the technical consultant. But if you have SQL, strong SQL and strong PL/SQL knowledge, you can read the programming, you can debug it, you can read the programming, the script you can read. Reason, you know how the script works, what is the structure of script, what are the conditions or policies or approach, or what should be the syntax for any kind of procedure or package which will be part of PL/SQL. If you know some technical issues also will be able to debug, you no need to depend on technical people. Okay, so that kind of privileges will be getting if you are okay with the SQL PL/SQL. Okay, if you have enough time in your hand, go with the SQL and do PL/SQL learning. SQL, PL/SQL, generally we call it as SQL SQL. This also SQL also you can call it SQL, SQL and PL/SQL, or call it as SQL and PL/SQL. Okay, this is what you can learn. But if you just first stage, first suggestion, first point I am saying, better try to learn basic SQL. That's enough. Okay, if you are very much interested or completely dedicated person for this course or your career whatever, learn SQL and PL SQL. In this case, go with the full scope, full learning. You'll be finding, frankly speaking, a little bit difficult because you did functional course, you are going to learn technical, but still you are the person to love the programming. Definitely you can learn easily. Okay, you people might be having some technical background also, right? Might be from BTech background, MCA, or even see anyone can learn. It's the starting and learning everything new only for everyone. Easily you can learn. So SQL, PLC also a very simple thing, but only just you have to focus. That is one thing I'm just recommending or suggesting for you. And apart from that, this mail, you can search in the Google. Okay, so you'll be you'll be learning everything. When you write your one mail, they can catch everything. Oh great, he has a great experience. There is no subject, he has a, I don't want to speak all those things. There is no subject, yes, his subject is different. His title is different. So that is the reason. Anyway, it's not like because of the reason. When you are working in any company, you should know how to do the drafting, mailing. So there are many articles in the Google or especially in YouTube. You can go to YouTube and email writing skills. You can search how to write professional mails. You can search, at least you can spend couple of hours. That information is enough. They'll talk about, if you're writing some content body, the body should always talks about the body, whatever the content you have in the body, relevant subject you have to keep. But now generally we see subject will be high, inside will be something else. What nonsense that is. If I see subject as high, oh, this guy want to say hi to me, I may not open that mail, right? If something is urgent, that will be in the body, but not in the subject. That many people may not open that mail. So that is the reason always that this kind of some few key points you can learn from the email writing, professional emailing, writing skills and all. You just browse, not hours and hours. At least try to spend 2 to 3 hours time to learn how to write the mails and all. But other suggestion from my side, be okay with MS Office. See, it's not like I am telling you are attending and you are knowing. It's not enough. Please implement it. Okay. When you talk about MS Office, how to prepare the PPTs, PowerPoint presentation. Once you get into the project, don't start learning the PPTs. Somebody may sit next to you. Prepare PPT. I'll see. You don't know how to add the new slide also. You know how to open it because this is your experience till now, right? There was cases I heard. There was one case. One guy joined in the institute. One guy joined in the project. His task is preparing the document. The requirement is he has to insert one Excel file in Word document. Okay. What he is trying to do is copy and paste. He is doing. Will it work? There is a separate function to insert, right? He has to do that. There is a different story. I should not say here. That's how it happened. Next to him, manager was sitting. What is your experience? Some number he was telling. Maybe right or wrong, we don't know. Okay. He was telling how many years of experience? These many years of experience. You have 4 years of experience. You don't know how to insert Excel into Word. Right, when you are working in the professional, the project time, etc., definitely will come across, right? Really, if you have that, whatever experience you are claiming, if you have that experience, should be able to do it, right? Okay, I'm not telling you to claim some experience. I'm telling try as a fresher only. Okay, fine. So, but be okay with these basic skills. You should know the basic knowledge of MS Office, basic knowledge, and PPT, Word. You may think you know since you find your CV in the MS Office Word only, but that knowledge is not enough. Please at least spend 2 hours for these 3 components. MS Office, learn at least 2 hours. Go to YouTube, you can learn. Many videos are there. That knowledge is enough. Okay, but don't plan, I'll learn whenever situation rises. It won't give you the mail to you as the situation is going to come to you. All of a sudden you will be facing. So at least spend 2 hours time to learn MS Office. Word, MS Word. 2 hours for PPT. If you learn 2 hours, you'll become master in PPT presentation. And spend 2 hours to learn MS Excel. just you may search in the Google or YouTube saying that MS Office, MS Word basics, and MS Excel basics, MS PowerPoint basics. This title you can search, you can get good amount of good amount of videos, go through it. That knowledge is more than enough. Okay, just try with these also, which you may find as additional, which are very minimum with for your profile, whatever the profile you are going to have. Okay, so these are the very important points. Fine. You want to learn data loader? Yes, that also I'll be covering. Okay, let me add it. Data loader.
Data loader macro recording.
Macro and all, that is Excel part. So when you are doing the web ADI, there will be macros and all. So I'll be covering data loader. Macros, what is your expectation? What you want to learn from that? Tell me.
We are uploading, not upload opening balance.
For that not required. For that not required. That is in Fusion. That's different. We're talking about Fusion, we have to enable macros and all. Sorry? Toad, yes, Toad. When you talk about SQL, there definitely we should do through Toad only. Toad is a front-end tool to write some many tools we have, but it's a very friendly and very expert tool for database interactions and all is Toad. SQL overview I said, right? We'll talk about that, and I said like we'll be writing some, we'll fetch the data from database and all that. Everything will do through Toad only. We'll do through Toad.
Whether we use
Okay.
SQL loader.
Sorry.
Whether we use SQL loader for R12.
SQL loader is not required. That will be done by technical people. SQL, see, that is for extracting and data loading purpose. The loading and all we don't do, that will be done by technical people. So when we talk about functional, the next step what can be done by technical people also I'll be talking about throughout these sessions. Okay, simple point I said, we'll do some customizations. For customization, we'll prepare some document which we call as functional spec, functional specification document, or as per AIM MD50 document, or say functional design document. We'll discuss all these terminologies also. We'll prepare it. Once we prepare, the development should be done by technical people. Further, they'll prepare some document. That document, what exactly we'll discuss, but we don't prepare it. But for your information, I'll be talking about it. Okay, the SQL loader, we don't need to deal anything with this. Being a functional consultant, not required. But if not Toad, we can use some other tools also, that also will be discussing. But generally here and there, you'll be finding the Toad usage in. Okay, fine. So that's what. And a data loader, or data loader is, it's something like where you can load the data, especially the calendars information, stuff entering one by one. You can load into system, and even chart of accounts also you can load into system. I'll ask you one question. If you want to load through data loader into the system, anyway in the data loader there will be some templates like spreadsheets only. Similar to that, there will be data loader templates. If you want to load the calendar information to the system, into our system, our instance, first of all you have to enter all the calendar related information. However, you are creating the calendar definition, accounting calendar definition window, you will be entering all the values, right? Instead of entering, you will be entering there. If you enter from there, you can load. Instead of entering in our chart of accounts, okay, instead of entering here, you can enter there. Then what is the advantage? Instead of entering there, you can enter here also, right? Because when you talk about calendar, okay, directly here you can enter, there also you can enter, you can load it. But here also you can enter, right? Instead of entering there. But when you talk about chart of account, maybe the data loader templates are very flexible, because here we'll be having tabs and we have to give. There won't be any tabs, directly you can enter. That advantage you may find. But why will be doing that data loader? Simple. If you are going to enter directly in the system, because we'll be discuss, once you discuss about it, you can understand. We'll be having the multiple instances, multiple environments. There will be requirement where we have to get the same calendar information, chart of accounts information to multiple instances. Say I have 3 instances. In 3 instances, I need calendar and chart of accounts. In that case, in 3 instances, 3 times I have to enter, right? Instead of doing that, one time I'll go and enter in the data loader templates. You can load into 1000 instances. That's how we can simplify the work that we'll discuss and we'll do in the system. Okay, we'll do how to load the data through data loader. That will be doing. Any other expectation you may add tomorrow or day after tomorrow, anytime, no issues, we'll be covering. Okay, so we'll cover whatever you find as a real time and whatever you have to learn or whatever real time people will be doing, which is possible to do from here, right? Okay, we cannot have a session where we'll interact with the client, right? How to interact we'll discuss here. Okay, what base you have to interact, what are the key points you have to consider when you are interacting, how to interact, what is the way to interact, what you should not interact with the client. Everything we will be discussing. That is possible from here. Which is possible from here, definitely we'll do it, everything. Okay. There are certain things those we'll be discussing offline, not in this session. Okay, fine, we'll do everything. Okay, if you have some other expectations from this real-time classes, let me know. I'll add and we'll cover. Okay, so we'll be having every day. Okay, again, somebody no need to call you and inform you we have session, we don't have session, but please every day be here on same time. Maybe 1 hour other day we may not have classes. In that case you can go with presentations, right? Presentations are practice, but don't keep calling to that guy, you have class or not, tell me, I'm just ready to go this side or that side, you finalize it. Don't give any calls. You can come every day. We'll be having every day in the week. 5 days I'll be taking the classes, no doubt. Maybe in some week, particular week, you may not find one day or other day, that's it. Okay, but we'll be having sessions from today every day. Okay, today it's tomorrow we have session, and Saturday, Sunday anyway we don't have classes as our schedules. For our schedules, again Monday we'll be having, that's all. Okay, tomorrow we have class. Okay, tomorrow we may start with this, the first step. Okay, we'll discuss. Fine. So after attending these classes, you may be in the position to teach something to working people also. I'll make sure that. Think like, say, the people, when some people are working, they might be in the real time, they don't come across all the cases. You may see some people who are into support only from 4 or 5 years. They'll work for 4 or 5 years, to switch to the company, again they'll be learning same course. Really they'll be learning because they'll forget everything. They'll forget everything. If you are into support, will be maximum will be forgetting. That also we'll be discussing. Let it be. Fine. So we'll see tomorrow then. Okay. Thank you.